welcome again to some 0K action. It's going to be a 1 versus 1 on the Kaleo 2 map, so not a map I play too much on, but basically, okay, if we just skip the pre-game chatter and the lighting should be restored to normal, well, what's normal for this map anyway. So yeah, as you can see, it's, yeah, relatively hilly, mostly good for bots. Got this lava bit in the middle, which is, anyway, which is, pretty harmful to units, I'm pretty sure. I've got the top left, myself, Flightman, playing as Cloaky bots, and God, love when that happens. And my opponent, Norm0616, is actually going to be starting off with spiders, so not something you see too often on this sort of map. I dare say Cloaky bots would probably work a bit better, but we'll see what happens. He's starting off, starting off with a bunch of fleas, then going straight for a Weaver actually, before going for 2 Venoms and a Redback. So just wants to scout out. I suppose his fleas will spot anything of mine trying to come through anyway. So I suppose yeah, should be able to divert his venoms. Sorry, his venoms and such. His venoms and such. To be able to intercept my units, because I'm pretty sure I should have the advantage of speed, except when it comes to playing versus fleas. So we'll see how that works out actually. So in any case, let's see, starting off with a couple of initial glaives, 1 flea coming in just to scout, seeing what I'm going as, and hopefully if I was paying attention, I should see that my opponent is also going for spiders. But yeah, nothing too flash happening at the moment, just continuing to spam out glaives. Got a Conjurer just at home to construct some wind generators. Not exactly going to be providing with the best coverage with the Lotus in that case, but whatever. And the Commander's just going to be expanding ahead as well. Opponent is expanding a bit more gradually actually, so going for okay, yep, so yeah, going for power plants and a Lotus for every point just about, well, a couple of points anyway. Extra defense. Also going to be expanding towards the west as well. Just having a look at the different power production that we've got. Yep, he's got a very slight advantage for both power and metal actually compared to myself though. We'll see how that works out for him actually. So now of course he's on repeat build, and yeah, going for 2 Venoms for every Redback actually. Definitely will counter my glaive spam pretty badly actually. In fact, I should be switching over to something else entirely. I mean, at the very least I do still have the advantage of speed actually. So the only problem is though, is that my glaives are all spread out actually. So yeah, if I can group them up, hell, they actually would do pretty well against the Venom actually. Grouped up, I might even be able to do something approaching a comm dive, beam laser, field radar module for him, and as myself, nothing for myself just yet. He's actually got a support commander as well actually. Okay, and a Lotus, but he's yeah, he's got a support commander as well actually. So we'll see how this works out actually. My glaives, well, if I can get them all concentrated up, they could do quite a bit of damage actually, even versus the riot units. So they could just sweep in. They should be able to deal quite a bit of damage actually, because spiders, they do not move too fast at all, as you can see. In fact, I'm actually sending over a few glaives right now, and ouch, keeping them grouped up rather badly actually. Thankfully I'm going to reinforce, and yep, actually transitioning now to Rocco spam and some Conjurers as well actually. So we'll see how this goes actually. Thankfully the Venom, it deals rather nasty splash paralyzed damage, but it doesn't actually do much real damage, so as long as I don't group up my stuff too much, I should be alright. We'll see how this works out though. Venom is definitely doing quite a bit of damage. It's running very close to the lava. It's actually going to be taking damage from that. Same time, but a couple of battles happening at the top right. Not too much though, just sending in a couple of glaives again. Well, again, just running into the problem of, yeah, I'm just sending them in piecemeal basically. That's not really the way I should be using them in this case at all. I mean, well, actually what I could be doing is, instead of just sending them in like that, I could just be spreading them out and maybe sending them into various weak points. I actually have a couple of weak points to exploit, like this mechs here. What about this Lotus? Yeah, actually I could attack this mechs here as well as the harass the solar collectors. I could also group them up and try to take out the Lotus as well as the all the stuff here. But yeah, just sending them in 3 at a time. Actually, there might just be enough actually. Let's just see. Let's see, what the hell is that purplish thing there? Oh, that's the paralyzed. So we'll see how that works out actually. Oh, I'm screwing up the positioning completely on them though. If I sent them straight to the Lotus, I think I would have been able to take it out, but nah, I completely screwed that up, unfortunately. I did manage to take out one mix, not the other though, and the Lotus is still up and running though, so... Oh, what the hell, I do at least have a couple of Roccos though, but I should have actually still left a couple of glaives there just to handle fleas, because fleas would still be rather nasty versus my Rockos, but we'll see what happens. Rockos are also coming in from the top right. The map is starting to get split, as you can see, and yeah, also putting up one of my own defenders. I don't think he can target this defender though, I might be mistaken. They can certainly target my Rocco though, that's for sure, and yeah, no, I cannot target it actually, despite the fact that it's basically in the very middle of the line for my my own defender's range. I cannot attack it unfortunately. I suppose he can't attack me either, but still. And what the hell, one of the Rockos is actually getting too close to the freaking Venom. Yeah, he's not going to have a very good day, although because they don't do that much damage, he might actually survive, which is going to be kind of funny if they can actually do that. And of course my opponent is going to be replying with crap loads of fleas, continuing onwards with Venoms and Redbacks, so yeah, nothing too surprising there. He actually does have a Recluse as well, and I do have to watch out, yeah, definitely have to watch out what my Rockos are doing, definitely getting a little bit too close for comforts there. Top right line is getting established though, and okay, yep, just continuing to pump out resources there. So as you can see, I actually do have a very slight economic lead on my opponents now, but the map is pretty much split evenly in half. And I do have to watch out for these fleas though. They can, well, as you can see, they're just doing a hell of a job dodging my Rocco's rockets. Thankfully though, fleas get countered pretty handily by pretty much anything in the game that can actually hit them, so even these crummy little glaives can basically massacre them. I have to watch out though, I definitely do not want to lose the glaives unnecessarily, which is essentially what's happening at the moment actually. I don't know why I'm sending them forward like that actually. They should be, well, I should just be keeping them in reserve actually, just be using them if my opponent tries to attempt to break out with the fleas, but oh well. Meanwhile, we do have some probes on the top right happening there for myself, not really much happening there. Opponent is actually up to level 2 on his commander, beam laser, field radar module, damage booster and personal shield. As for myself, actually going to level 1 with the jumper commander. I can't remember actually what modules I get. We'll see what happens though. Recluses pretty much meet the Rockos on the same terms pretty much, so I suppose I can try to counter that by using glaives, and actually this actually will be a pretty good spot to use glaives in. The Venoms are a bit out of position, so I would be able to do a bit of damage. The glaives on the other hand are actually being sent out towards the southwest instead, and yeah, unfortunately they are going to run into the Venoms there. I mean, one of them running into the Venoms would have been a bit inevitable, but I could have pulled back the second one if I reacted quickly enough. Unfortunately, it just was not the case. Is my commander dead? Oh no, he's actually alive. Light particle beam and auto repair system, nothing too unexpected there. My opponent actually does have a okay, his commander just standing by, not doing too much it seems, so yeah, just a defender line there. And yeah, just coming up with a caretaker as well, just to help push up metal. I'm actually floating metal as well, as you can see, finally starting to get the caretaker of mine up just recently it seems. Nope, still floating a bit of metal it seems actually, so I definitely need to watch out for that to say the least. Especially since I do have an economic advantage, I need to turn that into production though, basically. Yeah, well, what can you do? Defender going to get built up for Norm, and it's not actually going to be enough to reach the Lotus though, which is kind of funny. Although actually I'm building a mech there, funnily enough. Although it is going to get attacked by the defender, which kind of sucks. There we go, funny enough that Lotus Amone actually does destroy all the Solars, which is not something you see too often to say the least. Venom's being a pain in the ass, the glaive's getting a little bit too close. My commander is morphing up once again, probably more so just to stop me from floating too much metal and just letting it go to waste. And here we go, here's the tech switch from my opponent actually. Going for a gunship plant, usually it's more customary to go for aircraft. We'll see what happens though. The problem is though is that I've got basically no vision of what's actually happening here. And really, I mean, I could have actually had some vision if I sent in either a Scythe or, well, even just a cloaked gremlin basically. Just to see what was happening here. Gremlins have got pretty good line of sight actually, very long line of sight actually, so they could pretty easily scout around and see what's happening. I could have spotted that out, something to keep in mind for next time. But yeah, I've got basically no idea of what's happening here, so as for myself, I'm just continuing to pump more and more resources into the Cloakybot factory, continuing to spam Rockos. I probably should go for a couple of Warriors and Zeus actually, just to help tank a bit of damage. They should be able to take damage from the Redbacks, I suppose, although they would struggle against the Recluses, of course. We'll see what happens though. Jumper's at level 2. Actually, was he at level 2 before? No, actually no, I'm pretty sure I was upgrading him to level 2. Yeah, now he's upgrading to level 3. So, high power servos, high density plating, just increasing his health. Not exactly stellar, but better than nothing actually. In fact, I should actually be sending him forward, but instead I'm... No, I think I've got him on a fight order, but he's... Interesting. Looks like my opponent was also doing something as well, actually. But anyway, interesting. Sent him on a fight order. I think he was just mostly focused on repairing, though. In any case, I'm slowly but surely getting pushed back, actually, and this is be a great opportunity to have some glaives coming through. Okay, well, the red back will be a bit of a pain in the ass. It is heavily damaged, though. Actually, wait a minute, what was this thing again? Oh, that's right, the beam laser actually will be a pain in the ass versus the glaives as well, but still. That would help break the deadlock, but what the hell, I guess this isn't too bad either. I suppose I still have an economic advantage over my opponent, and I'm actually spending my resources. The only problem is, though, is that we do have the first gunship coming out, and it looks like my opponent's pretty much transferring everything, all the production over to the gunship plant, nothing really to the Spider Factory, which is just building the same old stuff. Nothing too unexpected there. My Roccos, well, they're pretty much just trading shots with the Recluses, basically, just going back and forth. As you can see, one attacking the other. I'm slowly but surely driving my opponent back, but he's almost finished his brawler, and again, I've got no idea what's happening there, actually. I've not done a single tech switch myself. That's actually, well, second caretaker. Would have been a good opportunity to maybe switch over to aircraft at the very least. I mean, my opponent is switching over Norm. He's switching over to gunships, and he's only got a single caretaker to pump out extra production, so I suppose that's that to keep in mind. Oh, there we go, nice little scout there actually. Flea providing a bit of vision there for my opponents. Spotting that defender, which is not really doing too much anyway. Rocco is still continuing to push forward, but mostly it's strength of numbers that's winning the day here. At the same time, my commander, I think, is... Yep, he is actually salvaging as well, actually, so I'm not really sure why I'm still continuing to upgrade him in that case, actually. So, more order repair systems. He'd be good for pushing forward, actually. So, not really sure why. Well, I suppose I'm just getting him to salvage, really, just because... He is upgrading, and of course it's costing quite a bit of metal to do that, basically going with maximum modules. And here we go, here come the brawlers. They're going to drive me back utterly, and hopefully I'll be replying with some anti-air soon. Yep, there we go. 10 gremlins. I really want to call them Jeffros, unfortunately that's not what they are. Well, at the very least, actually, these Roccos can sort of hit the brawlers, but they're missing more often than not, and they're just not doing that much damage versus them either, so really, some dedicated anti-air wouldn't go amiss. The only problem is, though, is that... got a bit of a battlefield to contend with, actually. If I send an anti-air to one location, then he can just go over to somewhere else. We'll see what happens. My commander also getting pretty low on health as well, actually. Almost up to level 4, bizarrely enough. And he actually might get taken out, and ouch. I invested a lot of metal into him, and unfortunately, that is that. I'm actually floating metal once again, and we've actually got economic parity with my opponent. Except for energy, metal is pretty much... even though, and yeah, these brawlers, well, the brawler switch from my opponent definitely working. He's switching out now to Banshees, but the damage has been done. My commander's down, while my opponent's commander is doing just fine and dandy. Indeed, yeah, that's right, actually. Yeah, the only reason I was really upgrading him, I think, was mostly because of the fact that I was accessing metal, but really what I should have been doing was, well, pumping more metal into my various factories and that, and not really letting my commander get past level 1, to be honest. But in any case, I do have some anti-air being set up. The only problem is that my entire ground force, except for this Zeus, has been destroyed, actually. So, yes. If these fleas came in, they'd be able to do quite a bit of damage. Actually, they would be able to if it wasn't for that Lotus that's there. I do at least have some... Really? They actually outrange the Lotus? Barely. Well, in any case, I did have some defenses there, just mostly to slow them down. Zeus is doing a good job actually dodging quite a few of these shots, actually, but nope. Does eventually get taken out. He's just too freaking slow. And thankfully for me, actually, quite a few of the fleas do run into the Lotus, actually, so... Glaives do finish them off, so coming in to help out there. Recluses, well, do have a single red back, but I dare say a combination of Glaives and Roccos would definitely be the way to go, actually. In fact, hopefully my Glaives, yep, they're going to be coming straight in, and the red back is still sitting back for Norm. I'm not really sure why he's actually doing that. Same thing with the not the Banshees, the Brawlers. He's just sitting them back, maybe he's accumulating a bit more of a force before attacking, maybe. In either case, these Gremlins, actually, I'm not really sure why I positioned them here. I mean, obviously to try to keep them safe, but I think it would have been better off positioning them a bit more central towards the map, so they can cover this area off as well, actually. But nope, I just wanted to keep them safe, and I think I pretty much forgot about them actually. I was just mostly focusing on the battle that's happening here. Yeah, as you can see, yeah, both me and my opponents are mostly focusing on this battle here of our little pointers moving around like mad. And there we go. Finally, the gremlins do actually come forward. The only problem is that they're completely out of position to defend this position here. And really, I mean, just a couple of Razors and Cobras would have been more than enough to defend against the gunships that were here, but nope. Nope, the entire side of the map there is going to go down, and I still got a very slight economic lead, at least I did have, but again we're getting economic parity. Opponent is ranging ahead in, well, let's see actually, his army is way bigger than mine actually, and he does have more power and all that coming in. And yep, there we go, starting to edge ahead in terms of the metal as well actually. So my gremlins probably could try to, yeah, they could try to space themselves out a bit actually, and oh my god, talk about a misclick for myself there. A very nice switch actually, I must admit though, so there we go, I did actually admit that in game. I didn't respond to that as well as I could have actually, losing my commander like that, and basically having no anti-air defenses at the top right there. I mean, just some static defenses, just some basic stuff, just Razor's Kisses, actually I think they're just called Razors now, would have, let's see, just Razors, yeah, they would have held the line against pretty much anything apart from maybe a dedicated Banshee or Brawler push basically, but well, what can you do? So now I'm basically stuck between having, well, trying to balance my anti-air with my anti-ground forces, and well, Norm definitely taking advantage of that. His army is way bigger than mine. It's going to be very hard to actually recover from this, with my economy being dashed as it is, and Norm's just continuing to grow. In fact, actually, I think it's mostly growing now because of the fact that he was reclaiming, although, well, it's going a bit up and down actually for both of us, so I think it's mostly, just due to reclaim on both sides, maybe. Definitely screwing up the move orders on some of my units. They're getting them way too close to the enemy, to say the least. At the very least, I am sort of starting to counteract my opponents now going ahead with glaives. Exactly what I need to counter these recluses, and my opponents, well, he's basically just gone with pure recluses, single redback. Yeah, well, I could just swarm it with glaives pretty much, although I'm pretty sure that would not be very cost effective, of course. Damn it, I had an opportunity actually. I should have just sent in these glaives on a could have, but now the redback is, yep, he's just moving forward in the move order basically, so yes, my economy is just getting torn to shreds now. Finally sending in the glaives, but to be honest, that's probably not going to be enough really, especially the redback coming in. Let's just see what he's going to do. Yep, he's just going to use his rapid fire laser beam against my glaives, and funny enough actually, the glaives don't really fare too well against the recluses anyway. They seem to die in a flurry of rockets there. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, well. Still though, an interesting game. It definitely shows the power of tech switching there, as you can see. I definitely screwed up the defense against those brawlers, and I mean really, if I just had a single gremlin just coming around, I should have been able to sneak something in, at least to be able to see what was happening there. Even just a scythe actually, just a bit of economic damage as well. But yeah, it's a bit of a matter of too little too late. At least I do have plenty of anti-air, 14 gremlins, that should be enough. But really, yeah, it's just, I mean, I've got gremlins in one place, and of course Norm sends his brawlers to attack in a different place. It's just not going to work out for myself there. Just a couple of razors, well, I mean, they wouldn't be able to hold off indefinitely, of course. But there we go, there's a GG by myself there, and there you go, quite the 1 versus 1 game. Definitely longer than some of the other ones that I've had a look at, actually, and, well, there we go. Certainly pretty interesting, actually. Nice little tech switch by Norm. I should have tech switched myself, actually, rather than investing all that metal into my commander, but there you go. I shall see you all next time. Welcome again to some 0k action. It's going to be 1 versus 1 on the June Patrol Whip VO Frio map. So let's just skip the pre-game chatter. Top left team, well, it's just 1-on-1, so top left consists of myself, Lightman, starting off with light vehicles, and Hixidom at the bottom right, actually starting off as Cloaky bots. So the elo difference is relatively similar. We'll see how this works out. As for this map, well, as you can see, there's a bit of terrain variation, but mostly it's flat enough really for vehicles. In fact, let's just have a look actually. Whoops. There we go. Okay, there's a couple of purpley bits where the vehicles can't go, that the bots can go free just a bit more slowly, but overall it is going to be more of a vehicle map. Although, with a bit of variation, it's possible, especially given how the map is pretty small actually, it's possible that we might be able to see Cloakies working out for Hixidom. We'll have a look actually, we'll just see what happens. So, yeah, the last 1v1 was pretty good. I haven't actually commentated on every single 1v1 that I've done. Mostly just commentated on the ones that have gone longer than a few minutes, basically. Because, well, yeah, those tend to be the non-rush games, basically. I mean, some of the rushes that I've seen and some of the rushes that I've done actually aren't... I mean, they're interesting to watch, but they end so quickly, really, and, yeah. So, yeah, screw it. I mean, what the hell, if you want to see me commentating on more rush situations, then what the hell, let me know and I'll see what I can do, because I definitely do have a few of them. I don't do them that often actually, so yeah, then I mean really, then you just have to combine them basically with other 1v1 games as well, and I mean sometimes I do that anyway. I mean, I think I'll probably combine this with another 1v1 game, but yeah. It's just that they end so freaking quickly, really. A bit too quickly. I mean, sometimes they can be interesting to watch, but oh, what the hell. Just let me know what you think, actually. So that's just my personal thoughts on the matcher. So just having a look, actually, some basic defenses being set up. Mason starting to construct, and of course it's going to be blocking the defender. Ah, well, whatever. In any case, just having a look, actually. So a bit of a... well, bit of damage being inflicted here and there. Not too much though. My opponent's Hixidom did slow me down a bit though. Nothing too severe though. He's actually got the advantage when it comes to energy. I've got the slight advantage when it comes to metal, but I kind of need the energy to back that up as well actually. In fact, I'm actually starting to float metal just because I don't have enough energy to go around. Just have a look actually. So yeah, I do have wind gens and Hixidom going with the more reliable solar collectors, which of course are going to be less vulnerable as well. As myself, still continuing with the Scorchers. Yep, Scorchers, another Mason coming out to build. So nothing really too much in terms of varying my build there. And as for Hixidom, yeah, he's actually going for Rocco Glaive combo. Interesting mixture there. A couple of warriors wouldn't go askew either actually, because he's only seen Scorchers from myself thus far. I mean, of course, you know, he could assume that I'm going to be switching over to other stuff eventually, but at the moment, yeah, I'm just spamming Scorchers basically, and well, we'll see how that works out. They'll do great against Rockos, of course, and against Glaives, of course, it comes down to positioning and all that, so, and down to micro, so we'll see what happens. Finally, I'm getting more energy than metal coming in, still a slight economic advantage over my opponents, and a slight military advantage as well, so we'll see if that snowballs out of control. One thing I have to watch out for, actually, is, well, actually not accessing metal, for example. And before, well, what I seem to have... okay, never mind, I'm not actually morphing my commander to get rid of that excess metal, but I really should be... well, this Mason should actually be doing something, for starters. Should be building maybe a caretaker, then maybe more power gens, because, yep, starting to equalize with metal and power again. I definitely need more... energy coming in, and I'm actually going to be morphing up my commander as well, so nothing too surprising there. And here we go, this is a pretty good situation to be in actually. This is what I'm talking about when it comes to positioning. I mean, generally you want to be firing on enemies' units while you're retreating, but really, that really exemplified positioning there actually, especially given that the Scorcher, I'm pretty sure, is slightly faster than the Glavers. So there we go, very good positioning. I managed to get myself there, and actually killing off my Scorcher at the same time. Due to the Metal Extractor's explosion, you just gotta love that. Hixidom still continuing to go with a combination of Glaives and Rockos. I wouldn't really agree with it actually. As myself, Jumper to level 1, Light Particle Beam and Auto Repair System. Hopefully he's just going to be staying at level 1. Hixidom only has the Commander Junior, but that actually does mean he starts off with the Commander Laser actually. Unlike the crappy little pea shooter that all the other commanders start off with, so... yeah, there we go. Build power is only 10. So what the hell? He actually starts off with some decent stuff, but of course that means he cannot build, or rather he cannot upgrade as a result. But well, what the hell? That just means more stuff for your units. So there we go. Unfortunately, he's not as maneuverable as a jump jet commander either, of course, because he can't jump around. So Still, what the hell, you can definitely... I mean, you don't have to have a custom commander in this game to win. Although sometimes it can definitely come in handy, especially having a battle comm or a jump comm. Just opens up various tactical options too. But there you go. So, interesting how it started off there actually. Anyway, whatever, let's just close that off. A couple of skirmishes happening here and there. I seem to be winning every skirmish actually. Hexadom going very heavy on the defensive actually. In fact, I was surprised he went for a Stinger. I mean, he's literally seen nothing from me except for Scorches. And I'm still just spamming Scorches out actually, so he... Well, as you can see, we're not exactly... Yeah, I think he is actually. But anyway, yeah, he definitely does seem to be used to team games. He's not really varying his build at all actually. I'm not really varying mine at all either for that matter either, but... well, Raiders counter skirmishes, so really... The current composition I've got is pretty optimal against my opponents. I mean, granted, the Stingers will face... I mean, they'll be a bit of a challenge, but... Yeah, well... Will be a greater challenge against my Scorches is, of course, encountering Stardusts, for example, so... What the hell, in any case, I'm expanding around, and again going with the spread out Raiders, actually. I did that in the previous game. I suppose, well, actually, I probably don't really need that many in that case. It just more so as a reactionary force to, you know, just a couple of glaives or whatever coming through will probably be more than enough. But, well, what the hell. In case, probably should be trying to kite those glaives a bit better, but there you go. I actually got a tick coming in, and wait a minute, my guys are, well, they did actually... get close to getting bunched up there, but no, thankfully I did manage to drive away the other Scorchers. Basically, you're sacrificing this Scorcher to that tick and that Rocco while the other ones manage to survive. Have to watch out though, I have to try to inflict some damage on these Roccos or retreat from them because they're rockets. Well, as you can see, they do a good job hitting my Scorchers some of the time, especially if they're running straight towards them. But there we go, actually I seem to be microing alright. Actually, am I microing? Is that just... Actually no, actually I'm microing there, so it's not the fight command being used there. And yeah, those Rocco rockets are actually hitting my Scorchers every so often. So overall though, I am winning these little skirmishes here and there. Army value and medal actually is much higher than my opponents, in fact. And yeah, there we go. Yep, got decent amount of wind going on as well actually, so thank God for that. I'm surprised actually that no one's actually tried to salvage either of these rocks actually. There's a bit of metal to be had there. I mean, granted, this area is still a bit disputed actually. Actually, I could be salvaging from those rocks now that I think of it. And here we go, the Stinger, well, it is one-shotting my Scorchers, I suppose. So I suppose if I send in my Scorchers one at a time like that, then yeah, the Stinger will actually do a good job, so... Yeah, indeed. Heavy tanks, well, comes down to playstyle and all that, so... Light vehicles are pretty balanced against heavy tanks. It all depends on how you use them, to be honest. And, okay, this is interesting. I am floating metal again. Ah, okay, of course, the energy is going up and down due to the wind gens going up and down, of course. And what do you know, again, morphing my commander, spending the excess metal there, when really I should be using it to pump out more units. Maybe even go for a factory switch, actually, because really... 2 caretakers, well, we saw in the previous game, 1 caretaker was enough to prompt my opponents to go into a pretty successful fact switch. I probably could be trying to do, well, I could try to do the same thing. Use these Scorchers mostly to contain my opponents while the bombers sweep in and bomb everything to hell and back. Of course, he's still got the Commander Junior, so he's not going to be morphing up. My Commander Jumper level 2, on the other hand, he's actually going to jump straight into my opponent's units. Wow, that's pretty ballsy actually, basically using him as a raider, sort of, but with the light particle beam. Interesting. So I suppose he's going to tank the damage for the Scorchers at the very least. And it's apparently going to work. Okay then. Huh, okay, well, if it works, I suppose. And actually Hexadom himself is actually floating resources. In fact, he does not actually have any caretakers or any extra production going on at all. So he's actually probably been floating resources for some time. He definitely does need caretakers or some sort of construction somewhere under place, but there you go. And as for myself, finally actually deciding to vary the build-up, so actually going with a Scorcher Slasher combo. Very potent. The Slasher is basically used to attack stuff from long range. Scorcher is basically used to break through the enemy lines, and of course, you know, to be used as counter raiding units. Can definitely work out. We guys also got some interesting chat at the top, which to be honest I've not really been there too much, I haven't been paying too much attention to at all, but still interesting chat nonetheless, talking about various units and all that. Bada bing, bada boom, I suppose. Scorcher's just basically going back and well, to and from basically. Slashers probably don't really need to be retreating though, but Scorchers, why not? Commander is actually going to be morphing up to level 4. Now this is something he normally don't want to do, to be honest. With all the metal I've invested in the Commander, I could have very easily gone for a fact switch and gone for a few bombers, probably finished out the game by now, or maybe I might have been able to get a Strider out actually. He's at level 4 and have been getting all sorts of modules for him. Well, I suppose he's going to be a pretty powerful commander. He's basically a bit of a mini Strider on his own, I suppose. He does cost quite a bit of metal actually. Can we see the cost? Yep, here we go. Yeah, pretty high cost actually. In fact, well, that's more than a Scorpion, for example, so... or a Dante, for example, and I'm pretty sure Dante would have a hell of a lot more HP than my commander does, so... yeah, well, I'm not really sure why I've morphed him up. I'm actually morphing him up to level 5, for God's sake. Wow. Well, in any case, let's concentrate on the battles of hand. Slashers versus Rockos, something you don't see too often. I'm not really sure who's meant to win such a matchup, actually. Let's see, 150 versus 90, so they cost a bit more. They have a bit more health, not much more actually. Rockos, yeah, the problem is though is that these homing rockets by the Slashers can't be avoided. At the same time though, the Slashers can't move around to avoid the Rockos rockets either actually, because they need to be stationary to fire their weapons, so yeah, I don't know, it's been hard to tell, to be honest. Things are rather interesting little units because they have to be stationary to fire, unlike pretty much everything else in the game. But so there you go, my opponent surrenders, and well, interesting round. Certainly don't see Cloakies versus vehicles too often. He might have been able to make it work just because of the slight changes in terrain and the fact that the map is relatively small, but unfortunately not in this case. So actually switching over to a spider factory. Well, there you go. I shall see you all next time.